Welcome, superstars. I'm just going to make sure this is going to all live. If you are watching this live, then comment below in the chat. Let me know that you're watching this hashtag live if you're watching it live, hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. We are going to chat and deep dive tonight on everything hypno related. I'm going to talk a little about what's involved in the hypnotherapy trainings. I will be doing a bit of an insight sort of overview of advanced hypno in a few weeks' time for those that want to know more about that. But tonight I'm here to do a bit of Q&A on hypno as well. There was a couple of questions posted in the group, but anyone that's on live that has any questions, I will deep dive into those as well. But I wanted to jump on because there's heaps of students in our community that have a bit of an interest in hypno, but don't really know what's involved, don't really know much about it. And instead of just like cramming little quick chats into the course, I wanted to jump on tonight and share a little bit about what makes our courses a little bit different, how the hypno training is run, what you would expect if you were part of the training, what you get out of it personally, but also what you'd experience in the world of taking these skills into coaching, but also even if you don't want to be a coach, how it can affect your life and everything that you can do with it. So I wanted to jump on tonight and have a deep dive into that. But I want to just check in and see who's on live with me. If you are on live, then let me know. Hashtag live if you're on live. If you're watching the replay, then hashtag replay. I'm going to keep an eye out for any comments. And as we go, if there's any questions, please feel free to drop anything into the chat. I will stop and check in every once in a while. But even if you're watching the replay, if you do have any questions, then jump on, tag me in it. Do a little bit of a, hey, Paul, I want to know this, and I'm happy to jump on and either make another video or we can jump into a chat. But if you're on live, please go along with it. Hey, Laura, I'm going to say hello to everyone that I see jumping on. Hey, Trish, please just, as we go, post, comment, etc., because I want this to be a conversation. I want to share some info, but I also want to talk about the things that you guys want to hear more about. So I'm going to cover a lot of different things, and we're going to go through some of the different concepts that we cover in the courses, a bit of an overview. Like, I'm not going to deep dive like it would be obviously a training, but I want you to have some more insight, because I know that there's a lot of people that have asked about the course but don't really have any idea what's involved. Now, let me start back in my personal journey. I know, cool story, bro. Paul's always talking about himself, but really, some of you guys have heard a little bit about what happened to me early on in my sort of teens and what sort of got me on the journey of self-discovery and learning skills that will help me become who I am today and do what I'm doing. And initially, one of the first things that I ever did was self-hypnosis, and really just reading a progressive relaxation, a page just teaching me how to do progressive relaxation. And as I was going through and doing this progressive relaxation, I really learned that my mind and body would work together. Because for a long time, my mind and body were not working together, and I felt pretty chaotic at both levels. And that and NLP and all these other things compounding over time really turned my life around. And so I knew that hypnosis itself was really, really powerful. And I had studied and started looking at things online, started reading books. And the world isn't, what it is today with all the access to everything we have. But what I did find, there was lots of different stuff out there. And as I started going through and studying and doing live trainings and going and doing certification courses in hypnotherapy to become a hypnotherapist, a lot of what I was being taught was kind of like the reel that I posted this week. I think a lot of you have seen it. If you haven't seen it, I might drop a link in the video a little bit later. But basically, I walked in and you get a course manual, you sit there and you're reading a piece of paper and you're told the words have the power. If you stick to the script and you do word for word what's there, you get the result. And it literally created a barrier between me and the people that I was practicing with, I was working with. And I personally was not the best at reading at the time. I had a lot of past blocks about my ability to study and learn, and reading was a thing. Some of you have heard the story. And so for me, that created a bit of a barrier. And so basically, I got really good at hypnosis because I memorized a lot of the language patterns and the scripts, because I really found that was a hindrance to me. But I found that a lot of what was being taught out there was basic template inductions with some suggestions. And as we're going to talk about tonight, suggestions are powerful and can be a really important part of hypnotherapy, but one of the least powerful things that we actually teach in the courses that we do, because I kind of imagine that suggestions are like the cheese that you put on a pizza. They're like the finisher. They're like the thing that adds a bit of flavor. And yes, you can have a pizza with just cheese on it, and some people are going to love that. But it is not the most important thing that adds the biggest result in what you can do with clients. So we really build a lot more skills and a lot more frameworks and a lot more dynamic ways of helping people to go in and out of trance and utilizing naturally occurring trances than I even knew were possible. So through a lot of the things I've studied, I have integrated, brought in a lot of different approaches to hypnotherapy that jump out of a book, that jump off of a page, and they're not, taught that way. And so one of the real goals and one of the intentions of me putting together the kind of courses that I run in hypnotherapy was to teach people how powerful language is, how the naturally occurring states of people experiencing, and how we are always our conscious awareness, the light of our intention and attention, and how we direct them make a big difference, but also how language is used and how powerful that can be. But the interaction between the coach and the client, you guys know that have done our trainings how important the evolve state is. With hypnotherapy, we really deep dive in it. So really hypnotherapy, the way I've sort of created it in the Evolve and Relaunch world, is very unique. It really borrows on the best of all the different worlds of hypnosis and hypnotherapy and stage and street work and instant induction work and deep therapeutic work, and brings it all together into a really unique offering. Okay, so I wanted to kind of go through tonight, talk about some of the ideas and concepts that we do teach, some of the things that you could get out of it personally, but also how it can be applied with clients in the real world. But also I wanted to jump on and cover any deep dive questions that people have. So again, if you are watching live, I've seen a few more people comment. Hey, welcome. Please pop questions in as you go. I will be checking in. If you're watching the replay, comment along, so I don't know you've seen this unless you do. Thank you so much for making time out to be here. It is always fun to jump out and chat to everyone. And I was having literally a couple of phone calls today about hypnosis and talking about a lot of different applications for it. So if you are on and you do have a specific application or a specific question about how you can do something or how it might benefit you, pop it in, because I'd love to chat about it and really direct the conversation to the people that are here. So let's kind of dive into it, because for me, the hypnosis, the way I wanted to teach and create the atmosphere of, is an embodied, practical application, not just a theoretical, conceptual, talk about the ideas and things that could happen, but actually where you get to have an embodied experience of altered states of consciousness, different flavors of trance, different personal realizations and transformations, and utilizing the symbolic nature of your unconscious mind, the power of your emotional states that are unconscious and already trances, and help students to layer in all of the frameworks, all of the principles, and all of the concepts that create tools and techniques, but then have them to be adaptable, dynamic, so that you can apply them in lots of different scenarios, whether it's therapeutic, whether it's coaching, whether it's teaching, whether it's real world interactions and coffee shop conversations, to create transformation in yourself and the people you're working with, and really bring to light the power of how all communication is hypnotic in nature. And that took me a long time to get, but I really break it down in the course and really help people to embody that, but also utilize and understand how effective their communication can be, because every time you're interacting with someone, hypnosis is occurring. I was talking today about the power of that in a class setting, and how teachers are always doing hypnosis, whether or not they know it or not. When you have a young child that's listening to your conversation, that's in an emotional state, how open and suggestive they are, how powerful it is to be able to know and have intention in what you're saying and what you're doing. Those things are transformational, and this carries over to life. It doesn't have to be in a classroom setting, it could be anywhere, because I know that a lot of my programming came from those kind of scenarios. And most students that are aware and look back on their life, a lot of our initial programming and the things we were hypnotized with, whether they were useful or unuseful, came when we were in those early childhood years in a highly emotional state, and someone said something, did something, that's how hypnosis starts. And really what I want people to understand is that transformation can occur at any point, and we're always in a trance. So in hypnosis, I kind of blow the bombshell out of people that think, well, I can't go into trance, or hypnosis, people say hypnosis, they can't go in hypnosis and whatever. But the truth is people are always in hypnosis. People are always in some form of a trance where they see the world through their hypnotic lens. And so people are always shifting states of consciousness, and it's happening at all different levels, whether it's emotion, whether it's awareness, whether it's body sensation. We are always shifting our temporal perception, our space perception, there's all these different ways that we can utilize the natural ebb and flow of a human conscious awareness. And so in hypnosis, we really teach the tools to, number one, build the sensory acuity to know when you're doing that and experience those things, but also the people you're interacting with. So when your client comes in a problem trance, where the reality they're constructing, they're seeing through the eyes of someone who believes in their problem and has an emotional reaction to it and actually starts to unconsciously regress already, we can jump into that trance with them. Like Milton Erickson used to say, the client comes in already in a trance. So they already have done the work for us as a hypnotherapist. So if we can understand that, we don't have to put our client in trance. Most of the time we have to enter into the one they're in with them and help them to get out of it. So this is one of the things like I'm really proud of and I really like doing in our trainings, is shifting what people think hypnosis is and really building a framework for them to understand the ideas and concepts, but also to just see how prevalent it is in their own world. Every time they talk to themselves, every time they imagine scenarios, past, present, or future, every time they're having a conversation with friends, every time they're hearing people talk about their current life situation or a problem they had, like how much of the interactions are hypnotic, and also TV, social media, all of our inputs, how profound they can be and how much they affect us. So for me, that is a total like awareness light bulb moment for a lot of people. And in hypnosis, we really bring those to like a whole nother level. And so when you do understand this, you really get to embody the nature of how powerful all your interactions are as a coach and therapist. But we really spend most of the week diving into the evolved state and really building that solid foundation. And for a lot of students, they've done a little bit of that at the NLP trainings, but it's only really a dip of a toe in the bath. We really learn to float in that. We learn to swim in that. We learn to breathe underwater, basically, and just be in that, where everything you do kind of emanates from that state. And you really get to see how powerful your clients are, because they walk in the door with the problem and solution already there. And as a Evolve hypnotherapist, you basically help them to help you to get the result. And so you transcend needing a script, you transcend needing anything other than your client to help guide both of you to the resolution, which is super, super powerful. So NLP really gives you a lot of awareness and a lot of frameworks, which is super important, but Hypno really helps you to transcend them and to become a lot more dynamic, intuitive, and cooperative in the way that you work with people. And so, it really is for people that want to develop the highest skill set in what's possible with their communication, with their coaching, and just with how they interact with people. It literally takes the power off the page and into the interaction with anyone that you're dealing with. So, for people that want to become a word wizard and a word witch, if you want to call it that too, depending on how you see yourself, it really is going to help you to use the transformational nature of language and the interaction and connection in a therapeutic context, which is just a total game changer. So that's a little bit of like the intention behind it all. And each day is a different flavor. Like day one, we're building a lot of the linguistic framework, getting you used to going in and out of trances, helping you to build step-by-step frameworks. And the way it's layered, it is like that step-by-step. I like the metaphor of Lego, because obviously we're teaching you to Lego during the course, but you're helping students Lego, but the Lego that you would have had as a kid if you ever played with Lego. The evolved state is the green grass. And then each word, each tool, each technique, each principle becomes like another building block. And we layer them in. So you get one building block, you apply it, and then you see all the different ways you can use that block and remove that block. And then we do that. And then we help you to put another one on top. And then you start seeing all these different ways to doing them. And you start to develop the plasticity, the dynamic ability to, adjust and move all of these things based on what space you have and what's present with you. And so there's a lot of freedom and a lot of ability to just adapt and adjust as you go. But then you start building these magical things with your client. But also what happens is each day we build all these things that end up turning into something amazing. But each day, the next thing goes into that, but also becomes its own thing. And so it really, like Transformers, each little thing by itself can turn to lots of things and is really powerful, but they all interplay together. So each individual principle, framework, style of therapy, approach, all blend together seamlessly or all become their own thing independently. Just like the pizza metaphor, you could just do a cheesy pizza with all the things we learn with suggestions, but you also could do a pepperoni pizza, or you also could do a vegetarian pizza, but they all come together to do something that's like a supreme pizza. So it's really, really adaptable. And this is why I love it, because you and your client can literally on the fly adapt, and you can do the same technique with 10 different clients that week, but it's never the same because of how the dynamic interaction is. And if your client came in and used the same principle every session, it still wouldn't look the same and it wouldn't sound the same to them, and it would give you a completely different outcome based on what you're working, even though you were using a similar principle, which, is totally mind-blowing. And for me, based on the approach that I was taught, was just read one thing and that's all you do. That's really limiting, but like it really helps you to just free yourself and be super adaptable and open to, finding wherever your client takes you. And this is huge because I don't know about you, but when you work with clients for a while, not everyone fits a box or fits a certain thing that you're thinking that you want to do. Just for example, timeline therapy is huge and we use a lot of it, but sometimes a client can't put a label on a word or can't describe their somatic experience that's causing them the problem, or the trance, as we would call it in hypnosis. They can't put words on it. But we don't need words in hypnotherapy. We just would borrow the sensation and use that sensation and travel through what we call the affect bridge, which is the portal, the pathway that the unconscious mind opens when it's in an emotional or physical sensational response. And it's the gateway through the neurology back to the root cause of where it got created and emanated from, which is the unconscious regression. It's the lit up part of the nervous system that the trance the client's in, which they keep recreating and perpetuating in their current everyday life. So when we jump on that with them, the client takes us there unconsciously already. And so it just makes it so much easier to have these toolkits. And this is why I'm so passionate about talking to you all about it, is because I know how much more dynamic and how much more resourceful and how much more capable that people that have done the hypnosis training are in terms of what is possible. And it's hard to describe that in a 5-minute segment in a training. So that's why I wanted to dive on tonight. And so, the body and the unconscious mind are the same thing. And the mind is the unconscious mind, the mind and body interaction and connection. So whether we're moving people linguistically, which we learn to do through the brainstem method, and some of you might have known as mind bending in the past, but we're really changing that into the brainstem because it really teaches you that problems are constructs in time, space, matter, and energy, and we linguistically create and reinforce those boundaries. And if we can maneuver those, we can shift those in our clients out of problems into resources. And this is huge because you become aware of how you are either reinforcing your problems or you're reinforcing the resources, and the light of your awareness where you're directing it. We talk about where focus goes, energy flows, but you really, really start to understand these concepts like in a different, whole nother lens, a whole nother understanding that, some of the trainings do go into, but hypno is just a real deep dive embodied experience of that, right? And so we also then use the body sensations, the body itself, the things that people aren't aware of, the unconscious processes, as healing tools, as resources, as guides of where to go next. And that is a truly transformative process because it takes it out of the brain and mind into the unconscious mind and the unconscious body mind. And there's so much to be learned there, so much resources to go there, and such a different way and approach to help clients, because some clients are more connected to that and some clients do respond very well to that kind of work. So we also do that. But then we also do things like exploring the trance of infinite possibility, where there is a place in a space of awareness where it's beyond words, beyond labels. People talk about being everything and nothing, but that's not there because that's still a word. So we go to the part of the neurology that is literally a quantum superposition and get people to tap into those resources that are available there and then return back to where they thought they had a problem, and the problems cannot exist. So some of the students that have experienced in masters where we do quantum linguistics is like that, but a lot more free flowing and a lot more dynamic. And we spend a whole day sort of deep diving there and going into what's more of a spinny trance. The body awareness stuff is more of a mushy type trance. And so every day is a different flavor of trance, a different flavor of work, and different physical embodied experience that you will literally build scaffolding for, you will build a framework for, that you can walk out and apply immediately. And that's what I love about this. It's not like you need to wait to get good at it. If you do hypnosis, you walk out the door with hypnosis installed. The manual is basically a souvenir, and it is there for you to look back and see all the things that you can already do, because you've done so much practice during the course, it becomes embodied. So we deep dive into all the different trances. You will have experienced the state that you are going to help your client to experience at a really deep level. And then we help you climb that mountain, then we help bring you back down so that you know what's possible. And whether or not you need to take your client completely out there, or you need to just fluctuate with the client based on what's right for them, you'll know that you can navigate that. So everything from just the eyes open conversational trance work to the deep, fully lights out therapeutic work, you have the ability to dance between that. So it depends on what specifically you're talking about, Jay. It depends on the problem you're working on, depends on the thing. You can do a once-off session for something like quit smoking and do a lifetime guarantee. I used to do that all the time. You could do, a phobia thing and you lifetime guarantee that, and that's all done in one session. So it depends on the problem that the client presents with, and depends on how you work with people. I used to do a lot of once-off sessions, but then, like I talk about in my courses, I like to work with someone over time, because we might work on the problem they got walking in the door, but you know that with problems, they have a lot of associations, they have a lot of connections. And so if we can unpack those with the client and not just get rid of a problem, but we can do the generative work that helps them to start moving forward in life, that's really powerful. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm not sure exactly what the specific problem is and how I would then recommend to do it. But yeah, we really focus on getting you to be unconsciously competent and just ooze the hypnotic language as you do the training, because I know that the words can be a barrier from the page. And my goal is for the therapists and the coaches that do the course, that they can transcend needing a page or a book. They are the page and book. They have everything already inside them. The words are there. They've been doing hypnotic language and speaking and doing hypnosis their whole life. They just need a new level of awareness and intention to direct those things. So the whole course is reigniting and reconnecting you to all the hypnotic skills that you've already had installed through your whole life, shining them up, making them nice and sharp, and so you can take them out and you can go into situations to help get yourself and clients a really powerful result. So with shifting awareness and shifting attention from the conscious to the unconscious, that is a really powerful and dynamic way to transition trance. And it's something we play a lot with the course, because no matter what a client's aware of, there's always things they're not aware of. And if a client comes in aware of their problem, they're magnifying the problem, they put a spotlight on the problem, and they're increasing and amplifying the problem trance. So our goal as a coach and a therapist or as a person is to direct someone's awareness to what they're unconscious of, the solutions, the resolution, everything they need that's they're not aware of. And those things are really powerful, and that's a fun thing to play with, and very quick, very effective. So we have a lot of different methods and principles that can take you down that path too. So, I can talk about each tool as it is, but like obviously they're very hard to explain without going deep and building them up layer by layer. But we borrow the pain pleasure principle and we build tools around that. We borrow the conscious awareness and lighting up the neurology of the problem and also the resources, and we go down those roads as well. So we do everything from covering forgiveness principles and having a framework and a physical fit release and forgiveness process, to creating a dynamic thing that's adjustable on the fly. Like whether you want to do complete sort of session where you split up and do lots of different inductions, and inside and around those inductions, you're doing eyes open work and borrowing resources for things done, or you do just a one whole session deep in trance, constantly scrolling and exploring the internal world of your client and solving and resolving problems because of their unconscious metaphors they present in the form of symbology, which we really dive into the unconscious power of symbols and how we can literally set our client's intention to go exploring and finding exactly what they need inside themselves, and then you help translate that for them. That is a total game changer. So there was lots of different methods and tools, but really it is for that deeper level of transformation. It is for that ability just to believe in yourself and that you have the tools and the intention and the ability to be present with the client that also allows your client to step into their power. And that's where the evolved state really, really levels up at Hypno, because you literally just become so ingrained in that ability that what is possible for you as a coach and a client levels up massively. So we do a lot of that. And the way the course is run, it's a very different experience than Master Prac or NLP, because it isn't as structured and, follow this technique, follow this framework. This is what we're doing right now. It is layered. It is step-by-step how-to that becomes dynamic. And it is so much embodied repetition, so much practical application that your neurology, your psychology is expanding every day, but also it's done in the hypnotic state. So it's a nice dynamic between the parasympathetic body recovery hypnotic holiday that a lot of people describe Hypno as, but also the boot camp for your brain, the expanding and stretching of what's possible in a limited amount of time. And even after the first few days, people think they say usually they've learned more in the first few days than they thought they would have the whole course. It really compacts a lifetime of learning into a week, which is super, super powerful. And I really feel that by the end of the 7 days of live training, that people walk away with a skill set that I literally had done. Took me years and years of studying a lot of different courses, and I still wasn't at the level that my students are at the end of the course. So I think that's fantastic. And we do cover everything from normal inductions to rapid inductions to ideomotor signals to subconscious communication to the symbology, the different states of trance that you can experience, the different ways to linguistic maneuver, to everything from suggestions and having different frameworks that you can cut and paste different styles in and out of, but also fitting in all the NLP, because a lot of students really say that their NLP skills level up and they're almost supercharged by the Hypno, and the hypnosis actually becomes the glue for that. So it also really helps you to bring your own voice to your approach. And I really feel for a lot of people, because of the dynamic nature of it and because of the loose framework that allows people to kind of put their own stamp on their own style, I find that a lot of people really gel with Hypno, and it is the more feminine, flowy style that allows you to be your own style of therapist. Even though you have principles and procedures that you can follow, you can step into it and put your own stamp on it, which is super, super cool. So, it really does take everything from even direct authoritarian to the indirect approach of hypnotherapy and blends that in. And so there is so many applications for it, everything from group work and working with a large group of people, whether you're doing meditations, whether you're doing any guided body processes, whether you're doing actual hypnotic work, or you're leading a seminar, you're working with a group of people in an education sort of framework or presentations. It really helps you to build rapport with the group and hypnotically guide people as one, and to help them through processing, help them into and out of and transition with the use of your language, which is really, really powerful. But also I really feel like it brings a level of confidence in your ability just to use your intention to set it and start communicating, which is powerful in any situation, whether you're going in to resolve a conflict in a relationship, a family, or you are working with clients. Your belief and ability in yourself to be there present totally levels up after Hypno, which I find fantastic. So that was a bit of an overview and a little bit of a discussion. I'd love to go into some questions if anyone wants me to deep dive into some of the topics a little bit more. We do have a lot of post-course for the Hypno. After the training, you will get videos showing how to integrate everything from the course into specifics like quit smoking, working with people with any sort of addictions, alcohol, that want to stop overeating, and how to apply all those tools. I've been using the frameworks from the quit smoking for decades, and literally, was making 15 years ago, 100, $500 plus 550 per session for that, and then doing money back guarantees. So it's like a business in a box, and we have a lot of students applying those methods, which is really powerful. There's a lot of other applications for it that are in there. There's a lot of handouts that you can use in your business that are pre-session, post-session forms, and all those things, which are really cool too. But again, we do have the integration process of the swap sessions and things like that as well. And so I'm going to have a look at the questions, because I'm sure there's a few more people that have commented. There was one question earlier on, and I'm just going to double check who asked it. Let me have a quick suss here. You'll probably see or hear I didn't make a noise. That's okay. Cool. So the question from Claire. Hey, Claire. So she asked earlier, and I think it was yesterday that she maybe asked this. Can hypnotherapy be used to help someone who's misplaced something, like a piece of jewelry, a ring, etc.? Yes. So hypnosis is really powerful in recovering memories and recovering anything that was, events or circumstances in the past that people may have no conscious aware of. So this is where the unconscious mind can be tapped into and used for that. We don't specifically in the hypnosis course teach it to do that, but it can be applied for that when you do a hypnotic regression, or you can ask the unconscious mind through idiomotor signals, which is where the body responds through movements, and you can get yes, no answers. So you can narrow down where it was, if they lost it or someone else lost it, or whether or not it's in a certain location. You could ask the questions and the body can respond that way. Or you could go down the approach of doing a symbolic journey that you can ask for where it is and then get the unconscious mind to communicate with you through that. Personally, I'd probably do the regression first and then do the idiomotor signals. And they're all things that you could do to explore and find that. If the person lost it and they just misplaced it, or they were aware where they were at the time, the last time they saw it, you definitely could regress back to that. And so then you could retrace the steps of where they were, what was happening, and get some unconscious awareness to become conscious. And you may find that's a good approach to it. If that doesn't work very well, then I would go down the idiomotor signal path and get the body to give you some yes, no answers, so you can start narrowing down where it is. And that can be super accurate, and that can be really useful. I know I've done that for myself, where books are. If I've lost a book and lost something that I haven't seen in years, like knowing exactly where to look for it, that's been very, very powerful. There's lots of things you can do with that. So that was one question. Hopefully that helped, Claire. I know there was a couple others. Let's have a quick look. And if you're on now, please comment any questions. If you want to know more about the training or want me to elaborate on any of the concepts that I just covered, please comment as we go. Let's have a look. I can't find any other comments for questions. I'll just have another little bit of a look here. Keeps kicking me out of the group. I keep pressing the wrong button. Let's see if I can find the group. All right. Yeah. No other questions in the group that I can find. But I'm happy to answer any of anyone on live. If you're on live, let me know. Let me know any of the bits that you found interesting, any of the concepts that maybe if you've done the training, which one was your favorite part of the course, what your techniques you really enjoyed. When will the 2024 dates be released? Probably just before 2024. We've got 2 more hypnosises coming up this year. We've got the one that's coming up in a couple of weeks' time. Let me let you know when that is. It is the 8th to the 14th of May, I'm pretty sure. Let me just have a quick look again. The 8th to the 14th of May. And there's one the 13th to the 19th of November this year for hypnosis. We also have Master Prac in December, and we have the second half of it in Feb. But also, which I didn't want to go too much into tonight, and I will do another chat about a little bit later in a few months' time, or in about a month's time, Advanced Hypno. That's happening once, it happens once every 2 years. And that's happening in, I don't actually have the date in front of me. Let me see where I can find it. I know exactly where I can find it. It is, Advanced Hypno is happening. Shout out to anyone that comments it before I even do it. The 19th to the 25th of June. Okay, and that happens only every 2 years. So that training is a huge course. It goes even further beyond into the techniques and takes them a whole nother level. Cool. Yeah. Let me see if we got that. So Lynn did a diploma of hypnosis. So the diploma happens after advanced hypno. So to qualify the amount of hours and prerequisites, you need to have done NLP, hypno practitioner, master prac, and advanced hypno to qualify. And then once you've done that and you've finished the questionnaire section for each course and you've completed all your payments, then you qualify for the Evolve and Relaunch diploma. And if you want to then lodge to get rebates and things like that with the AHA, then you're available to do that. So that's how the diploma works. So the diploma is comprised of doing all of those courses, but advanced hypno is the final thing that needs to happen in order to be certified in diploma. But obviously you would have to have done the first level of hypno first, and then master prac as well, which I'm pretty sure you've done. So you don't even really need to do advanced hypno then. And advanced hypno, beyond just being able to apply for the diploma, we go super deep into the conversational hypnotherapy work and how do you really turn that into something super powerful. We also then dive deeper into the pain, and we go through a lot of different protocols to work with pain. We go through impromptu hypnosis. We go through metaphorical methods of healing, everything from just some different spiritual approaches to healing to, also adapting and applying several different frameworks for regressive work and integrating and transforming things that you've done before into your own dynamic approach. So hybrid type regressions, etc. There's so much in advanced hypno that it is a huge course, and it only gets run every 2 years. So super excited for that. Yes, we do have a few people that have commented when advanced hypno is, which is June. Hypno techniques just allow NLP techniques to flow even more powerfully. Super excited. Yeah, Gemma, I'm telling you, advanced hypno is one thing I love about. I wasn't going to talk about advanced hypno too much, but advanced hypno really gets you to realize how much of what you do isn't actually thinking. In advanced hypno, I talk about how we create our problems with our thoughts, which you guys know about, but I really break it down, and I really break it down the brainstem approach, where space, time, energy, matter, those constructs make things real, and also materialize and dematerialize things. And we go into how to do that with your words, but also how most people run what they think is thinking is actually just replaying thought and running the same thoughts over, which reinforce problems. So we actually teach you how to think and get you to do a lot of thinking on the first 3 days, which sounds kind of weird, but literally there's each tool and technique is going to retrain your brain into different pathways, and you're going to realize how interesting that is an experience. I think after 3 days, a lot of people's brains literally exploded, and then we obviously get into different stuff, but that was a real eye-opener for a lot of people, the first 3 days of that. And I'm really excited for how much power was in those 3 days and how much growth for each of the therapists and coaches that were there, because they were doing things at the end of the 3 days that literally, I knew that they'd get there, but like when I put the course together, it's just things that I'd never seen possible, and that was really amazing to watch. And then we built in, each of the course is broken up into sections, so that was a really powerful section, and so I really loved watching that and watching the brains just kind of explode everywhere, but just hearing the leveled up language ability of everyone in the classroom and just how powerful they were. That was more the conversational hypnotherapy section. They were all like on a whole nother planet of what was possible, which was really good to watch. So I'm excited, Gemma, for you to be a part of that, because I know that is sensational as a person to experience, but as a teacher to see people just level up like that was huge. So advanced hypno is coming up, and like I said, it is a once every 2 year thing because it is such a big training, and we do have a lot of courses that we're running. I don't know if I can mention this here. I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but I do have a couple of courses in the pipeline that are going to build off on a slight different tangent to some of those concepts and ideas. I'm not going to mention exactly what they are because I know I'm definitely allowed to say that yet. But what I'm doing is anyone that has done advanced hypno and wants to reset let me know, get in contact, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to release those other courses. But if you are resitting, you might be able to get both courses at some sort of a rate. And anyone that's doing advanced hypno now, you may be able to get the advanced hypno plus the additional things. We'll work out something. I'm kind of working out. And anyone that wants to do those, we'll obviously look after you guys as well. It's the first time I'm running any of these courses. There's at the moment, there's potentially a couple of shorter courses that are coming out pretty soon. And I'm probably pretty sure I'm not allowed to talk too much about it, but I know that a lot of people are watching now, and there's probably a few people thinking about, obviously coming back and redoing advanced hypno, because it's only a once every 2 year thing. And it is such a deep course with a lot of really new concepts and ideas in it. And I know a lot of people might want to revisit that. So let me know. I will do a post in the advanced hypno group about it soon when I've got a green light. We're still in the super early stages of that. But also anybody that has done hypno before, if you do want to resit hypno, in the lead up to advanced hypno might be a good time to do it if you can. So if you do want to jump in, let us know. We do have a reduced rate for resitting the course. And if you want to be in, that's huge. We had a couple people resit NLP this year, and they said how much more they got out of it, having more headspace and hearing it for the second time. And I know the same thing happens in hypno. So reach out if you do want to dive in again. Bring your trance bibs as well, your hypnotic bib. Any other quick comments or questions while we're on? If not, I'll start wrapping up for the night. And thank you all for being here. But I want to just touch base and see if there's any other comments or questions. If you are watching this later, hashtag replay, pop any questions in the chat, tag me in. I think I'm showing up as Julia at the moment. Obviously, I'm not as attractive or as funny or as beautiful as Julia is. But yes, Carly, if you do want to be involved, let me know, because we've got one coming up in 2 weeks' time. And if you want to jump in that, we could get you in. Or if you want to redo it later in the year, we can definitely talk about that too. And we can work out like the payment plans and all that kind of stuff too. So send me a message, tag me if you do have any specific questions about wanting to know more about hypno. I'm definitely available if you want to have a chat about it and work out how it fits in your world, because obviously everyone's got different applications. If you just want it for your own personal transformation, I probably didn't mention this enough. Hypno for your own personal development, it is just to give yourself a week to experience what is possible in a human vessel. That alone is quite unique. I've had people that have done years and years of advanced meditation, going off to 10-day silent retreats. And what they say, some of the altered states they experience, even just hypnosis, on a whole nother level to what they've experienced using other methods. Some of the altered states almost, people have used psychedelics and things like that and haven't experienced some of the things that you can experience just through intention and language and using some of the principles. I know that day 3, when we're getting into the non-awareness, it's the funniest day I ever teach. Not because I'm hilarious, but because of just the nature of it. Everyone ends up laughing, just jelly giggle pots in the chair, and it is so fun. And the group is just so funny to watch, because everyone just ends up being, taken back to this part of just having this embodied, joyous, fun experience. And then we build that into tools and techniques, which is amazing. And just the layers of stress, the layers of tension that peel off, just being in a deep, relaxed state all week is huge. So a lot of people describe it as a hypnotic holiday. But in the process of doing that and learning how to navigate and steer your human psychology, biology, neurology through those things, you walk away with a tool set that you can take with you for the rest of your life. Your personal visualization, self-hypnosis work takes on a whole nother level. But what happens being the client throughout the process, the unconscious mind bubbles up so many amazing things. And just working with that deep level of unconscious and conscious connection, what happens for people that week is a whole nother level of personal belief, certainty, of clarity, of inner knowing. And I feel like just the what happens for people in what they know and can do about themselves. And people know they have everything inside them and they get it intellectually. But what happens is people embody that, and people really get how real that is. They see it in everyone when they're working with them, but also they experience it themselves, because they literally solve their own problems. They literally get the perfect metaphor, the perfect symbol, the perfect sensation in their body that takes them back to the place where a lot of their things emanated from. And they reawaken this curiosity in themselves to explore and understand themselves at a whole nother level, which for me as a facilitator, for me as a teacher, is so fun to see. And I literally get to see people peel layers off and step into their true self that week. So I'm fucking pumped for it. It's only a couple of weeks away. That's why I jumped on tonight. I wanted to share this with as many people as possible because I know it will change your life. I know if you want to connect with yourself at a deeper level and believe and trust yourself at a whole nother level, the hypnosis practitioner is the course that does that more than any other course. If you want to take your coaching and therapeutic skills to another level, then hypno is a staple for a therapist. It is like the building block for working with people long term in a way that allows you to be you, but also to help them to see themselves in a whole nother way and tap into their resources. So I love teaching. I love talking about it. I think a cat just ran past my window, so I was like, what the hell is that? Sunny's going to make an appearance in about 2 seconds. But yeah, I think it's huge. I can't believe how fast hypno courses come up. Yeah, it comes up real quick. This year is flying. I don't know about everyone listening to this, but for me, I've blinked and it's already a third through the year. So if you do want to be a part of it coming up, let us know. This next course is coming up real soon. November will be here before you know it. Let us know, book in and be a part of it. I want to have fun with you. I want to help you level up. I want to help you to know what's possible for you and the people you work with. So if you can get there, let's do it. Last check-in with anyone listening. Any other comments, questions, thoughts? You want me to dive deeper into a topic, let me know. I'll give you about 30 seconds to comment. If you are watching the replay, let me know what you took from today. Anyone that is watching, that has been on, thank you so much. Let me know what your biggest light bulb or takeaway, or hearing me say it again. If you have done the course, has re-inspired you to jump back into some of those techniques, what your favorite part of the course was, or if you haven't done the course yet, what you're most interested in. If you do want me to jump on again, I'm happy to. I love talking, you guys know that. So give me something to talk about, ask any questions, comment if you do have any questions. And if you do want to know more, send me a message, tag me, we can touch base and we can help you get involved as well, because I know that hypno is massive. I know that a lot of people are thinking about advanced hypno, and it is a once every 2 year thing. I really don't know what I'm going to be doing in 2025. That is a long way away. I do know I'm running it this year. I promise every 2 years. In 2 years' time, who knows what the world's going to be like. I do have my intention to run it again in 2 years' time, but I do know it's happening soon. So I do encourage you to be there, because I know that you that's been using it for 2 years, that's out there in the world after experiencing that, will be a very different level than waiting another 2 years to get there. So no other comments, no other questions. Haven't seen anyone post. Thank you so much for being on, everyone that is on live. Thank you for tuning in and dropping your comments, and please do post anything else that you want to add. I will check in a little bit and comment a little bit back a little bit later. If you are watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay. If you do have questions, again, tag me, send me a message. Let's hook up a phone call. I'd love to chat to you and work out how it can help you in your world. I know everyone has different applications, but I know that everyone is doing hypnosis all the time. Everyone is constantly being influenced by the people and situations around them. We're always going in and out of trances, some of them useful, some of them unuseful. And I know if you know these skills, it will change your life. So thank you all again. Keep evolving, everyone. Thank you. Big shout out to anyone who's supported our book. We have been blown away with how amazing that's been. We hit #1 on Amazon in multiple categories. So in books in general, then as an NLP book, and then in the hypnosis category. So thank you so much for that. The Kindle is out. So if you do use Kindle, it's out. We have uploaded the audio, but we've had so many technical difficulties the whole way along, and it's now going through a process of approval, which may take 30 to 60 working days. So the second that goes live, we'll let you know. Juliet and I both did the audio on that. So we take turns talking about different sections. And so if you are a more auditory person, I love audiobooks. Once that comes out, we'll let you know, jump on that. We had tons of fun putting that together. So thank you so much for supporting us. We want to see you win. So if you need anything, want anything, comment in the group, reach out. We're more than happy to jump on and do more lives like this. If you do want to be a part of a course, then reach out as well. Thank you all. Have a fantastic night. Keep evolving, and we'll chat soon. All right. Catch you soon. Bye.